Keanu Reeves, exhausted from a long flight, steps into chaos, flashing cameras, shouting paparazzi, then does something no one expects. Keanu Reeves moved through LAX with the quiet ease of someone accustomed to blending in, or at least trying to. A cap was pulled low over his face, his backpack slung over one shoulder. His steps were unhurried, smooth, effortlessly cool. Not the kind of walk that drew attention, but not invisible either. The airport was its usual maelstrom of movement, suitcases rolling, overhead announcements crackling, tired travelers reuniting, and the occasional impatient honk from outside. Keanu barely noticed. He had spent years weaving through spaces like these, places where the world never stopped moving. He had mastered the art of passing through. All he wanted was to get home. As he reached baggage claim, a familiar figure stepped forward from the crowd. "There he is," a voice called, warm and easy. Keanu's eyes flicked up. It was Marcus, a longtime friend and trusted driver. Mid-40s, sharp-dressed but casual, someone who had been around just long enough to understand the unique rhythm of Keanu's life. Marcus grinned, stepping in for a quick handshake before patting Keanu on the shoulder. "How was the flight?" "Long," Keanu said simply. A small smirk tugged at his lips. Marcus chuckled. "Figures. Are you hungry? We can stop somewhere on the way." Keanu considered it. He wasn't one for elaborate plans, and the idea of grabbing a quiet meal before heading home was tempting. "Maybe," he said, adjusting the strap of his backpack. "Let's see how the traffic looks." Marcus nodded, already reaching for Keanu's duffel bag before he could protest. Nothing felt out of place, just another late-night arrival, just another ride home. No tension, no urgency, no warning. But outside, beyond the glass doors, past the unaware travelers, in the shadows of the airport's entrance, something waited, and neither of them saw it coming. Keanu and Marcus walked side by side, weaving through the shifting tide of travelers. The air carried the usual mix of sounds, footsteps, rolling luggage, flight announcements, murmured conversations. They were almost at the exit when a hesitant voice stopped them. "Excuse me, sir?" Keanu turned. A young fan, maybe early 20s, stood a few feet away, gripping a phone in one hand. His expression was a mix of excitement and nervous hesitation, the kind of energy that always preceded a request. I don't mean to bother you," the fan stammered, shifting on his feet, "but could I, maybe get a quick selfie?" Marcus, ever the protector, subtly stepped forward. "Hey man, I get it, but he just got off a long flight." But before he could finish, Keanu lifted a hand, a quiet but firm signal. "It's all right," he said. His voice was calm, easy. Marcus exhaled, stepping back. He should have known. Keanu wasn't the type to brush people off. The fan's eyes widened. "Really? Thank you so much." Keanu gave a small nod, no rush, no irritation, just patience. The fan fumbled with his phone, flipping it to selfie mode. Keanu leaned in slightly, offering the faintest of smiles. "Thank you. Seriously, you're the best," the fan gushed, stepping back with a grin. Keanu gave a small wave, already shifting back toward Marcus, but another voice. "Wait, is that Keanu Reeves?" This time from somewhere to the left. Then another. "Oh my God, it is." And just like that it spread, like a match to dry grass. One moment, it was just one fan. The next, a small ripple of recognition moved through the crowd. People turned. Some stopped mid-stride. A handful reached for their phones. It wasn't loud yet, not chaotic, but it was growing. Marcus stiffened. He saw it before Keanu did. The way a few people started closing the distance, excitement flickering in their eyes, the way hushed murmurs built into something just loud enough to draw more attention. And worse, the doors were just ahead. If people were noticing Keanu in here, what waited for him outside? Marcus took a breath, his instincts shifting gears. "All right, boss," he murmured, low enough for only Keanu to hear. "Let's move." Keanu nodded slowly, adjusted the strap of his backpack, and kept walking. Marcus led, but not too obviously. His posture stayed loose, his steps casual, but his mind was already mapping the next few seconds. Assessing, calculating. Keanu walked beside him, completely unbothered. And that? That never stopped surprising Marcus. He'd worked with high-profile names before, and most, even the good ones, had a threshold. A point where patience ran out, where exhaustion bled into irritation, where the mask of easygoing charm slipped just enough to show the strain beneath. But Keanu, he wasn't just patient. He was genuinely kind. The way he looked each fan in the eye when he spoke, the way he never moved too fast, never made anyone feel dismissed, never let fame strip him of basic decency. It wasn't an act. It was just who he was. And honestly, Marcus had no idea how the guy did it, because this was a lot. The crowd wasn't dispersing, it was growing. At first, just a few lingering fans, then a few more, then phones lifted, voices rising, the quiet hum of excitement morphing into something more defined. Keanu! Dude, over here! Can I get a picture? Marcus caught a glimpse of movement to their left. A guy in a business suit had actually stopped rolling his luggage to pull out his phone. A couple near the taxi stand whispered to each other, then turned toward them. One of the airport staff, a young woman holding a tablet, barely hid her wide-eyed expression as she glanced over. Marcus exhaled through his nose. Yep, they needed to move. Because the thing about crowds, they were like water. Once they started building, they didn't just stop. And then the noise changed. Because this wasn't just fans. This was something else. Marcus didn't need to turn to know what was waiting for them. The paparazzi. And in a split second, he knew this was about to get messy. For a moment, just a moment, Marcus thought they'd make it. They weren't even out the doors when the flashes came. Bright, sharp, unforgiving. Then another, and another. The dam broke. A voice, loud, urgent, relentless. Keanu, over here! The unmistakable shuffle of feet, the sound of cameras adjusting, lenses clicking into place. Then, the swarm. Fast. Pressing in. About entering the airport. Marcus's stomach dropped. Too late. They'd been seen. Keanu adjusted the strap of his backpack, his voice steady but quiet. Where'd you park? Marcus, already scanning their surroundings, already calculating the fastest way through the growing crowd, gestured ahead. Underground lot, a few minutes walk. Keanu gave a small nod, barely reacting. But Marcus knew the signs, knew that look in Keanu's eyes. It wasn't frustration. It wasn't even exhaustion in the normal sense. It was weariness, the kind that settled into the bones, heavier than just a long flight. Keanu had been on the move for weeks, country to country, city to city, press, interviews, handshakes, cameras in his face, always on, always giving. And now, he was finally back. And all he wanted, all he needed, was a quiet drive home. No crowds, no flashing lights, no questions shouted at him like they were owed answers. Just home. Officer Greg Turner had been watching since the first fan stopped Keanu Reeves for a selfie. At first, it had just been a handful of people. Nothing unusual. Nothing out of control. But Greg had worked security at LAX long enough to recognize the shift. The moment when a crowd stops being just a crowd and starts becoming a problem. Now, standing near one of the side exits, he could see what was coming. The paparazzi had already gathered outside, waiting like wolves. And Keanu, along with the guy who seemed to be escorting him, they were walking straight toward them. Greg exhaled, muttering to himself, "Damn, these guys never learn." Without hesitation, he moved. "Mr. Reeves," Greg called, stepping into their path before they hit the doors. Marcus tensed, not aggressively, but ready. Keanu, however, just offered one of his small, polite nods. "Hey," Greg kept it short. "I see they're waiting outside for you. Big crowd. You might want to take another way out." Marcus's jaw twitched. "We're heading to the underground lot." Greg shook his head. "Then that way," he pointed outside where the paparazzi were trying to get in, "isn't advisable." He glanced at Keanu. "You good with a detour?" Keanu, to Greg's surprise, chuckled. "Wouldn't be the first time." Greg grinned despite himself. "Figured. Come on." As Greg led them through a quieter hallway, one used mostly by airport staff, he stole a glance at Keanu. The guy looked exactly how Greg imagined someone would after a long-haul flight, tired, but too polite to complain. And Marcus? The man was all business, scanning every corner like someone who had done this before. Greg decided to make conversation. "You travel a lot, Mr. Reeves?" Keanu smiled faintly. "More than I stay home." Greg chuckled. "I get that." Marcus shot Greg a look, the kind that said, "We don't need small talk. Just get us out of here." Greg ignored it. They made it through the next set of doors, stepping into a narrow outdoor walkway. The night air was cool, a relief from the artificial hum of the airport. The parking structure wasn't far away now. A straight shot across the next lot, a quick set of stairs, and they were home free. Marcus must have sensed it too, because his shoulders finally eased. "See?" Greg smirked. "Told you I knew my way around," he said more directly at Marcus. Marcus scoffed, but Keanu gave an amused nod. "Appreciate it, man." Greg grinned, just as a sharp noise cut through the quiet. A voice, distant but unmistakable. "Keanu!" Greg froze. Marcus spun. "Keanu?" He just sighed. Because that voice? That was a paparazzo. They had caught up and more were coming. The first voice had been far away. Keanu, Marcus, and Greg kept moving. Then came the second voice, closer. "Keanu, over here." Greg clenched his jaw. "Damn it." Marcus picked up the pace. "We need to move." Keanu, still calm, adjusted his cap lower. "I'm moving." The problem? So were the photographers. It was just 2 paparazzi at first, speed walking toward them, cameras raised. Then 3, then 5. Greg had seen it before, the domino effect. One person spotted the target, then another. Then all hell broke loose. A few flashes burst, not rapid fire, not yet, but enough to signal the others. Greg threw a look at Marcus. "Where's the car?" "Across the next lot." Greg swore under his breath. That wasn't close enough. Keanu, walking briskly now, kept his head down. Greg stole a glance at him. No frustration, no panic, just tired. But then came the moment Greg had been dreading. From the side of the lot, a paparazzo ran full speed straight into their path. A bad move, Greg thought. Because the pavement? It was wet. And before anyone could react, the guy slipped. Hard. His camera hit the ground first, then his knee, then, with a wince, his elbow. And just like that, everything stopped. Marcus saw the fall happen in real time. The slip, the crash, the sharp grunt of pain. This was it, a moment of distraction. The cameras that had been glued to Keanu suddenly jerked in another direction. The photographers who had been closing in hesitated. Their focus split between 2 possible stories. Good. Marcus didn't wait. He gripped Keanu's elbow and moved, his voice low but firm. "Keanu, move." He felt the slight shift, Keanu following him, so he pressed forward. Fast. Greg was already scanning ahead, his voice urgent. "He's down. The others'll pause. This is our chance." At that moment, Marcus realized something. The weight was gone. His grip on Keanu's elbow? Gone. The instinctive presence of the man beside him? Gone. His chest tightened. "No! No! No!" he silently shouted. His stomach lurched as he turned, half expecting to see Keanu just a step behind, still moving. But instead, Keanu was standing still, not moving, not leaving, not escaping. Marcus's pulse spiked. He felt it in his throat, his ribs, his skull. What the hell is he doing? He followed Keanu's gaze, already knowing. The photographer, the one who had fallen hard. And in the next second, before Marcus could stop it, Keanu was already walking the wrong way. Not toward the car, but towards the guy on the ground. Marcus cursed. Hard. "What is he?" Greg stopped mid-sentence, his own panic clicking into place. They stood there, watching. The flashes resumed. The murmurs rose, and there was Keanu Reeves ignoring it all, kneeling beside the man. "Hey man, you all right?" he asked softly. Marcus was still frozen, breathing hard, his mind spinning between a dozen different thoughts when Keanu spoke again. "You hit your head?" His voice was calm, not rushed, not tense, just Keanu. The photographer blinked, disoriented, his camera half broken beside him. He winced, trying to push himself up, and Keanu, without hesitation, offered a hand. The flashes exploded again. The murmurs turned into frantic whispers. Marcus barely registered them, because all he could see was Keanu, still crouched, waiting. The paparazzo hesitated before taking the offer. Keanu pulled him up effortlessly, steadying him as he swayed. "Easy, man." The guy looked shocked, like he hadn't expected this, like he wasn't sure if he should apologize or thank him or just keep snapping photos. Keanu just patted his shoulder, no grudges, no anger, and then he turned. Marcus saw it. That silent signal. Time to go. Marcus exhaled, relief flooding in. Greg, standing by, gave a nod. That was... He huffed out a breath. Hell of a thing to do. Keanu just smiled. Wouldn't feel right to leave him like that. Marcus shook his head, still processing. You're unbelievable, man. But he wasn't surprised. Marcus gave Greg a quick handshake, a real one. Thanks, man. Greg smiled. Hey, you ever need a shortcut through LAX again? He winked. Marcus chuckled, guiding Keanu toward the waiting car. He opened the door, watching as Keanu slid in, finally escaping the chaos. As Marcus shut the door and rounded the vehicle, he thought, that's going to be the headline. Not the chase, not the fall, but this, Keanu Reeves stopping to help, even when he didn't have to. As the car pulled away, Marcus finally let himself relax, sinking back into his seat. He glanced over. Keanu's head was leaned back, eyes closed. Finally, a moment of peace. Marcus let the silence sit before muttering, You're gonna be all over the news tomorrow. Keanu just huffed a soft laugh. Yeah, but at least it's for the right reason. Marcus looked out the window, the paparazzi fading behind them. He could see a few still trying to get long-distance shots. Yeah, it really was, he thought.